David.
Chuck, how you doing?
Get this thing figured out here. I'm doing great. How you doing?
Forget about it. I'm doing all right.
Lynn Dates, Shannon, Wyble, getting pulled over again as usual. All right, so Peter, what's your last name? And Ron, what's your last name?
Ron Bafiglio.
Hi, Ron. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you.
Peter? Is Peter there? We'll give it a couple more minutes and we get going. I'm gonna have to end at 11:29 or 1:29 because I've got another MLS Zoom where I'm on the Alliance. I'm on a couple boards for the MLS, the local MLS. I'm on that board. And then which is the generous board, and then I'm on the MLS board for the Alliance, which is Rochester, Buffalo, Syracuse. So we're actually looking at vendors for the MLS. We just had a presentation from Flex MLS. Then obviously we're presently with Matrix CoreLogic. And then at 1:30, I'll be on an MLS vendor presentation from Paragon. And we do this every few years as your MLS provider. It's a privately owned by all the brokers. We own the MLS. And our contracts are typically 2 to 3 years for the MLS. And what we need to do is, just check to make sure our pricing's right. Make sure that, CoreLogic hasn't fallen behind in what they do for us and what they provide us. And we go and look at 3 to 5 vendors that are out there and make a decision. So every few years, all of a sudden, there's a new MLS and everybody's really happy with that, right? So that's that. Well, guys, this is our solo agent mastermind. It looks like we have all types of agents here, which is great. Agents that are newer in the business and agents that have been in the business and agents that are going to start to build teams. And it's great to have you all. So if you want to unmute yourselves to ask any questions, basically you have to drive this call. Mastermind is when we put out there, like, what are our challenges? What's going on? What's been working well for us? And we talk, and I'll share from my knowledge of what I've been doing and what we're doing and some of the things that are going on. And I really need you guys it has to be interactive or it won't be a good mastermind. So if someone wants to start it out, I'll do something really quickly though. I'm sitting in the room I've been screwing around with for I don't know how long now here in Brighton, but I think it's done. I really can't see it too well, but the only thing I have left to do now is furnishings. We've got the 265-inch TVs are up. And I just did the whiteboard. Can you see that?
You, Chuck.
Yeah. Who just said that?
Lynn Dates.
Can you see this?
Yeah. Where are you? Are you at West Side?
I'm in Brighton. This used to be where all the cubes were. The little tech room. And then right over here was where the conference room used to be. So it's back in the older section, and then there's the offices all around it. And I ended up closing it all in and putting a couple doors and windows, and we've got 3 TVs. The other thing we've done here is every conference room now will have a TV. So when you come in, you can plug in. I've installed these 2 and installed the 2 downstairs in the 2 conference rooms in a lower level. So all 3 conference rooms down there have TVs now. And I'll be putting 2 more sitting in the 2 conference rooms in a learning center and get those installed. And then we're going to get a design for a brand new entry to the Brighton office, and where all the leadership is presently located. They probably don't even know this yet. We're gonna rip out all our walls and make it glass. So when people walk in, you'll be able to see, what's going on and what's happening. So it'll be exciting. Trying to create a really great community space for all you guys so that you can feel comfortable coming in with your clients. There'll be an abundance of conference rooms for you to meet with people and also sign out if you need to for yourself. So that's available to all. It doesn't matter what office you're out of. So, you can jump into any office, any of our 5 offices. You're all April, you'll jump into it and use. So why don't we get started with some stuff? I know that I just ran into Mr. John Pecora. He's driving, so John, you be careful. And he's heading out to Webster probably to make a big real estate deal, I'm sure. So I wish you well. So what do we got? What do we got as far as, tell me some of the things that are going on in your worlds and what's going well, what's a challenge, and let's see if we can figure this out together. Who wants to go first?
Getting to closing is a challenge.
Who's that? Who said that?
Patsy.
Hey, Patsy. Okay, yeah, let's talk about that. I was reading a little rant on our Facebook page. We shouldn't say it was a rant, some of the frustration, a little frustration on the Facebook page this morning. And there are solutions, guys. And what are you doing to try to not have the problem at closing that we're experiencing now? What can you do as an agent?
Set expectations right up front.
Nancy, can you mute yourself, Nancy? Because I think you're talking in the background, but we keep hearing you as kind of a background now. Oh, she just hung up. Nancy?
No,
Roger.
she just moved.
One of these boxes. I thought you're already shut for Christmas.
Hey, Nancy Rogers, turn off your phone. Can I mute her? Am I in charge of that? Can I do that? I'd love to.
I think you are, Chuck.
I'm not the host. I don't know who is. So Dave, yeah. So talk about what you were just talking about, Dave.
Well, just set expectations, I forget who it was someone on that post that you mentioned earlier said that they didn't understand why there's, with such low year-over-year sales.
Yeah.
Why there's such a backup. Well, the reality is interest rates are so low that they have so many refis,
Right.
and just let the clients know. I think it was Harlan that had mentioned, emphasize the fact that it's a target date.
Excuse me. Can you make me the host? Stay 1 second. Make me the host and mute on Nancy Rogers before you do that.
Oh, sure.
All right. Thank you. All right, Dave, go ahead.
Just make sure that the client, buyer or seller, knows that is a target date. I've always done it, but I find it more important today than ever because we're not hitting those deadlines. I don't know if I've had one close on time in 3 months.
Yeah.
And that's just the reality of the market.
So Patsy, there's a lot of things, and I think Harlan really nailed it. And it was great what he said. And I really appreciated if you all saw, the frustration and it is in every agent, just so you know, you're not alone in this. Everybody's experiencing the same things, but the preparation of your buyer and your seller right up front is critical, guys. You have to tell your buyer right up front what's the reality of what's going on. We are short surveyors. That's all it is. It's really
my delay has been the seller's attorney is just dragging their feet to get mortgage payoff information.
Yeah, I mean, it's you need to let your buyers know here's what we can control as real estate agents, because what I'm hearing is happening is it's coming back on us as the realtors.
Right.
We need to 100% make sure our buyers and our sellers know what our duties are, what the attorney's duty is, what the banker's attorney's duties are, what the title insurance company. If you don't know what their duties are, you have to go and learn it. It's critical right now for you all to do this, to understand the full workflow of how a deal from the inception of that first meeting to the day of closing. It's critical for you all to be very knowledgeable of that and to explain it to your buyers and sellers up front, not in the middle and definitely not at the end, because they're just going to be, then they definitely will be frustrated with you. You have to let them know. I mean, refinancing and business, there's big buildings being refinanced and mortgaged and all kinds of things going on. And with the shortage of surveyors, the shortage of, people working at home, it's really difficult, right? They're putting in their 40 hours, but they're not in the office and processing mortgages. They're not underwriting maybe from where they used to underwrite. Their kids need something to be done, so they have to go do that. Then they come back and all of a sudden that file that was on their desk maybe is somewhere else. There's a lot of reasons why there's delays, and we can point just to surveyors, but there's a lot more going on. You need to really be on your service providers. Harlan, I think, explained it so well in what he had said. Like you said, Dave, I think he did a great job with that. And you need to meet with your people every week. Call your bankers, call your attorneys, call everybody that's going to impact your deal on a list side or buy side. Call your photographers, see how they're doing. Touch base, you know.
And Chuck, also,
Yeah.
you know, Patsy had mentioned about the seller's attorney.
Yeah.
One thing I like to do, and it's from the setting expectations with my client up front, is not only let my clients know the importance of going with a real estate attorney, but if the other side's attorney is a litigation attorney that
Yeah.
just happens to be doing a transaction, let your client know. It's a careful thing. You don't want to be seen as talking down about the other attorney, but use that as an expectation level of, because you need to know that there's probably a much higher chance that there will be delays if there's a litigation attorney that does a handful of, transactions a year.
Well, same thing with an online mortgage company, a mortgage company where we can't talk to a loan processor necessarily. That can be difficult, guys. And if you're representing the seller and we can never steer things away from anything, but we need to explain to our sellers, like, listen, this is Rocket Mortgage. It's an online mortgage company. We really don't know much about them, how they really process it. And they've obviously closed loans, but this one over here is with XYZ local mortgage banker, and this is a loan officer. Let your sellers understand that the whole process of what's going on. I mean, I think you need to educate our buyers and sellers more than we ever have. I mean, how are you all feeling about that?
This is John
I agree
Pecora.
with that.
Obviously, having Betsy join has been a blessing, and the past couple clients that I've worked with, at the end of it, have all said, thank God we had Betsy here to reach out to us. She set it on her schedule to reach out once a week just to say, hey, this is what's going on. This could be a holdup. This could be a point. And I think it's more now than ever. It's that communication. It's the staying in touch with everybody to let them know what's going on instead of waiting until a problem comes up or not a problem and then saying something from there. But I've noticed it just with having Betsy on to say, holy cow, there's so much more that I should be doing in helping people out that I don't. So now more than ever, it's that communication. Also adding in, I've been able to convince my buyers to switch to a bank that is going to provide them 100% care all around, as opposed to, well, Rocket Mortgage is going to give me 2.75. And I said, well, yeah, but they're going to take forever to close. They're not going to be able to, you don't have a contact person. I go, you come local, it makes your offer stronger. Everything's in-house. We have a person to talk to. I go, all those things come into play when you're writing your offer and you have someone to communicate with. So they've been luckily to switch for me. So it's been a good thing.
Yeah, I've seen some people also have two mortgages at the same time. They run them parallel with each other. If they're really just that infatuated with this one mortgage, XYZ mortgage company, but we know that if you bring, you're competing against 10 other deals and you bring an XYZ mortgage company, Tallahassee mortgage broker out of Alaska versus local XYZ mortgage broker banker here in Rochester, the likelihood of you potentially getting that deal, you're definitely further down on the totem pole than someone that's locally driven. Running two mortgages. I do believe that the local mortgage bankers in this area understand some people will do that and run two mortgages parallel with each other.
Can I piggyback on what Jonathan was saying, Chuck?
Yeah, sure, go ahead, Betsy.
In addition to having the correct mortgage broker, are you working with the correct attorneys? So we just today had an issue where our closing could have potentially been pushed back another week and a half. But we spoke with our attorney this morning and he came up with some creative ways to make the closing happen today. So if your attorney's not working for you, maybe think about finding another attorney to work with.
Betsy, when you called your attorney, did he take the call himself?
He did. Yeah, I called his cell phone and he took it himself.
Yeah.
I know we're closing today instead of in a week and a half. So again, the attorneys are another big part of it too. I also keep in weekly contact with the attorneys and bug them, but it works to our benefit because we have less problems that way.
Yeah. And it's all comes back to what John was saying, Betsy, is that it's all communication. We have to communicate. And more than ever, it seems, even though there's so much technology advancements and people want to hear from each other more than ever. And it's very easy for something to slip through the cracks of thinking that there's this process happening and it's not. You really need to keep on checking in and checking with your mortgage people. And if the mortgage officer can't give you the answer, then maybe they can hit you to the processor, and just make sure you figure out who you need to talk to at all times. Patsy, did that help at all, you think, or is it?
Yeah, no, it's just frustrating. My buyer
Yeah.
is active duty military in Spain.
Yeah. Wow.
And so we had to switch mortgage companies
Yeah.
to someone local. And then the people whose house he's buying are getting a divorce. And so I have a feeling it's the divorce attorney doing all this. Or, holding things up because he's a divorce attorney and not really real estate.
Yeah. Yeah. I would, attorneys are very sensitive to realtors calling them up and trying to tell them how to do their job.
Right.
I don't know if any of you have ever experienced that before, but I have, because I've tried to tell people how to do their job, and they make me very much aware that I'm not an attorney or an accountant or whatever I think I am at the minute. I would work through your buyer's attorney to really put some pressure on that seller's attorney as much as he can, or the paralegal. Hopefully he's got a paralegal at the other end, but I would definitely have the buyer's attorney really work hard on that. So
Yeah, I've been in contact with him daily.
yeah, well, good. That's what you got to do, Patsy. And the other thing, I think, where we think our buyers maybe know that we're supporting them, or our sellers know, we need to let them know what you're doing too. You really, just a quick email just to let you know I talked to your attorney today, and we're really pushing hard. Just keep them overly informed. Some of the biggest mistakes I would make when I was actively selling real estate is I assumed that my sellers or my buyers knew all the things that we were doing. The reality was they didn't think we were really doing anything other than collecting a big commission if we didn't physically say to them, yeah, I made these 10 phone calls for you today. I talked to these agents about your property today. I talked to the appraiser. I talked to the inspector. Overly communicating with them about the things you're doing to support them is huge. Kathy Wyble raised her hand. What does that mean?
It means I have a question,
Oh, well, let's hear it, Kathy Wyble.
a comment, and I'm sorry if you hear the dog barking in the background.
All right, it's better than the siren.
Right. So one of the things that I do a lot is reply and add other people. Like the other day, I had a listing agent asking, how come the appraisal hasn't happened yet? And I'm a firm believer in playing stupid. So I just replied to the email to the listing agent, and I copied in the bank, who was not my first choice, and the buyer's attorney. And I said, I'm on the road all day. I'm just copying everybody in so that we all have the same information. Please let me know when it's scheduled. And within minutes, the loan officer replied with a reason of why it hadn't been ordered yet. But when you add other people to the mix, I found that people address your concerns a lot quicker because they don't want mud on your face from everyone. And I was just playing stupid, like, hey, I'm in the car all day. I'm not sure if I can get to this, but now that we're all on the same page, who has an answer?
Oh,
And
Kathy, we know you're not
really
playing.
well. Right. But I mean, within minutes, this banker replied to the email with everybody on there just to save face, where he's been blowing me off for 3 days in a row.
Hey, I'll even volunteer this to you, Kathy. That is a great thing to always do, include people. I've had agents call me up and say, I'm having such problems with so-and-so. And I know I know all the agents doing really any business in Rochester, and I know every broker. So I said, well, maybe the next email, just include me in on the email. They're like, really? I have to do that? I said, I said, it's amazing what shame, when you shame somebody, and they definitely don't want to look stupid or be called out in front of their peers. I mean, they can be very rude to you guys, but as soon as you start including some other people in on that, boy, right, Kath? I mean, it just changed, boom, just like that.
I mean, it is a little passive aggressive, but I get what I want a lot faster than getting it, just me beating my head against the wall.
Yeah, so
It works.
It works fabulously. I've had a lot of situations where one of the agents is doing a deal with someone and they include me all of a sudden in the email, and miraculously I don't even send an email out. I just am included on the email, and things start to happen much quicker. Sometimes I get a call from the other people and they want to whine to me about what's going on, but that's okay. And whatever it takes, guys, the most important thing is your client. They are it. We have to take care of our clients like they are family. I mean, they're entrusting you with the biggest decision that they're making in their lifetime. I'd say 99% of the people, they're family to you. So you have to do whatever you can to help them and support them and make sure we remain their fiduciary. It's not about the money will come, guys. I promise. It's about doing the right thing always. It will come. It's just that we're in a funny situation right now. COVID is, it's flaring up around the United States. I think we're doing pretty good in New York, except for some micro areas of downstate. And, we don't know where the future is going to be with that. We have a big election coming up, I hear. There's something going on there too. So some things can happen with our market. We're not too sure about that. I just answered a few surveys today. It was interesting from I don't know if you've ever heard of Riz Media or Real Trends. They're big realtor reading publications, and they sent me a bunch of surveys. And it was just interesting, the questions that they're asking on there about the election. And, how do you feel if this candidate wins? What will happen to the market? How do you feel if this candidate wins? What will happen to the market? And it's something we all need to kind of think about. What will happen in a market, and are we prepared? Financially, are you prepared? Are you, we're not sure what's going to happen here. So some fun times ahead, guys. Just stay safe.
Hey, Chuck, can I weigh in real quick on this closing situation?
Yeah, Jeffrey, go for it, please.
When I'm setting expectations with the buyers, if I'm on the buy side, I'm telling them the importance of getting their paperwork to their lender as quickly as possible, because the faster they get the mortgage commitment, the faster they have extra time for this survey delay. And I've only had one transaction delayed in the last 6 months.
Great.
So if you stay on them, which, not every client's good with paperwork, but if you stay on top of them and you're constantly talking to the loan officer, it seems to help. It's a lot of extra work, but it's a happy client. So
I think that there's, is there mortgage companies out there, if you list a property, they'll order the survey and do the title work right now, as soon as you list it?
not that I know of. I know that the lawyer that I use when I'm on the list side is, we have just a standing agreement, and she checks with the seller that as soon as it's under contract and we have attorney approval, they go ahead and order the survey.
You know, survey, I'm beginning to wonder.
Very quickly?
What's that?
Can I interrupt very quickly?
Yeah, go ahead, Ozell.
This is Ozell. Just to touch on the question you asked, I actually asked an attorney that very same question about a week ago.
Yeah.
And he said that he could do that.
He could.
Because I have a seller who is selling a few properties, but he didn't sell them all at once. And we noticed how long it was taking for the survey and the abstract to come. And we did ask if he, moving forward, if we could get them ordered on the upcoming listings. And I believe he is doing so.
Yeah, Kathy Wyble asked the question, and you may laugh when I say it. Maybe you saw it in the chat already. Why don't we have our own survey company yet? Kathy, I actually last week started talking about that exact thing. Like, why don't we? You know, we're doing enough units now. Every time we list a property, we could send our surveyor out there, and if somebody does know somebody, maybe we start talking to them about starting a joint venture with a surveyor. If it can move our deals and gives us a unique selling position, I'm all in. I think it's definitely not a silly question. I'm going through a lot of different things for the company right now. We're looking at and hoping to have a real cool vision plan going into 2021 that could impact every one of you with something pretty positive. You're just looking at, like, there's moving company. What are the services that help you as an agent? Moving companies, homeowners insurance, the title work, the mortgage companies, attorneys, surveyors. The list goes on, right? The different service providers that each and every one of us uses on a daily basis. What if we created a corporation amongst all of us? And this is the question that I'm putting out there. We're an open book company, so I'm happy to talk to you all about it anytime. Start putting together a whole bunch of affiliated businesses that we're all partners. Start bringing in some passive income into each and every one of you, and let's look at getting really creative going into the future. My feeling about, I've been doing this for 35 years. My sister's been doing it for about 60 years. I like to say that. She's sitting here.
I saw
Slap
Karen's
them,
look.
Karen, slap them.
Yeah, she does. Slaps
Poor
hard,
Karen, come on, don't pick on her.
So there's a lot of things happening out there right now, but the one thing that's never changed is you're in control, right? I mean, buyers and sellers come to us. A couple might go to an attorney and you might get a reverse referral back. A couple might go to a mortgage officer, you'll get a reverse referral back. I don't know if I ever got a referral from an inspector or some of these other affiliated companies that I seem to send. Back when I was doing a lot of real estate, I would send everybody, right? I was in control. Who should I use for the roof? Who should I use for moving, Chuck? Who should I use for homeowners insurance? Who should I use? Who? Mortgage company. And I'm sending them out to everybody. We're in control, guys. And I think it's time for us to take back control and go into 2021 with a new game plan of being in complete control.
And Chuck,
Kathy just spurred me on with that surveyor.
Hey, Chuck, if I can just butt in here real quick.
Yeah.
I was thinking, if we were to work with our attorney on our listings to have that survey done ahead of time, I think that would actually potentially position our sellers to look better in the eyes of buyer agents and buyers when we're already a step ahead of every other house on the market. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a great idea. And I think during a listing presentation, I would propose to them, showing your knowledge of this market, saying, listen, there's a lot of delays out there. And, I know you're talking to a couple of the real estate agents. One of the things we definitely will encourage you to do, you're looking for uniqueness in your listing presentation always, so that there's something sticky about you that everybody else is not. You're saying something different. I think this would be something different that we would really highly recommend we contact your attorney right away and get the survey done. The attorney typically pays for it and gets it at closing, but I think you just have to sign a guarantee with the attorney. If your property doesn't close, you'll reimburse them the survey cost, which is, I don't know, $300 to $500. I think that would be a unique conversation that would separate you out from some other people that you're competing with for a listing. What do you guys think about that?
I think that's a good value.
Jennifer, you're right about that. The survey does have there's a certain time frame, but once it's done, I'm sure we can make a deal with the surveyor that would say, listen, if the property takes 8 months to close and there's no changes, just do a change. They could probably change the date. They would probably do something, drive by it, make sure that they didn't put a fence up or built a shed on the land, and I'm sure that there could be some way to get something at a very reasonable amount, if anything. If we own a surveying company, maybe we make that part of it. Affidavit of no change. Yeah, I'm not sure if the affidavit of no change, if the bank would accept it at that point. They might, but I'm not 100% sure. I think Todd, are you trying to say something, Todd, and just mute it? Because I see you're lighting up. Nope. All right, he just muted.
Yeah, I was told that an affidavit of no change does work, but
Mhm.
I'm not sure after what period of time. And I'm still looking for a surveyor. It's been 5 months and I
For you,
can't get
for your-
anyone to do it for us.
did you call the attorney up and ask him for a surveyor?
I did.
And they
What
said,
happened to the guy that I gave you?
He never got back to us. He obviously has too many millions and doesn't want to deal with us. He did ask for all of our information, but he hasn't responded. He's the only one who Dick actually spoke to him, but yeah, Dollinger recommended somebody, but he declined. And nobody else has returned our call.
boy,
Yeah, it's tough.
does MCC offer a surveying school?
No, I have no idea.
I'm really curious now. I mean, whether it's Fisher or Nazareth or RIT or U of R or MCC or Finger Lakes Community College, somebody, they got to go somewhere to get these, to get their survey certification. I'm wondering, start making some phone calls. But that can't be the only, what else is holding it up besides the survey? Patsy, you brought up something, but what else is there? There's got to be other things that can't be just the survey.
I think the attorneys are so overwhelmed that there's a lack of communication between, I think everyone's overwhelmed, and in certain cases, there's a lack of communication where they think they don't have something, but they got it. So they're waiting.
We had to get our title recertified because it had expired.
Yeah. The titles and attorneys
And
overwhelmed.
This week I've run into IRS transcripts that were requested 5 weeks ago, and they're still not in.
Yeah, we're seeing this everywhere. Even like, all right, so we bring on new agents, you go and get a real estate license, you go to DOS, like it used to be, you pass your test, you sign with a broker, and that day you're up and going. You know, it's taken 2 to 3 weeks now for whatever reason for the DOS now to give someone a license that starts selling real estate after they passed all their tests, where it was instantaneously in February before COVID. And now, and it was all automated.
Hey, Chuck.
Yeah, Todd.
I don't know who it was that was talking about the IRS certificates. Are you talking about the foreclosure notices on a property due to tax liens or due to IRS holdings? They placed the liens on a property.
No, these are transcripts that the lender requires the borrower to get to confirm that the tax return they're providing to the lender actually matches what the IRS has.
Oh, wow.
Is that a standard bank we're all using, or is it an off bank?
It's premium.
Oh,
is it an FHA, VA, or
No,
is it any?
no. I talked to Chris yesterday and he said, everybody's been doing this for like 10 years because of the way life has changed. And the agent on the other side of this deal had no idea what I was talking about when I said the IRS transcripts aren't in. I was like,
We've been doing. All right. So who else has heard of IRS transcripts on a conventional mortgage?
And maybe it's just me that I know what it is, but.
I think it's just you, Nancy.
Oh, I feel special.
They've been doing it for 10 years, and this is the first time I've heard that someone's requested an IRS transcript on a standard mortgage. Do you think that there's something else? The guy, did he just get out of jail, or?
No. Chris just said this is just they do all the time, but the IRS is very timely, so it's no big deal.
Oh, so that's maybe it. Maybe that's because, like you said, they're so timely that they just send it. We don't even hear about it.
You don't even hear about it, but the IRS is really behind right now.
No.
So that's what I'm hearing. Everybody's behind right now. I mean, we went from doing nothing to opening up, and it's created a huge bottleneck. And just the data that's required now, we just went this premium mortgage too. Almost the day before closing, premium told the buyers that their insurance binder didn't have the right information the day before closing. Luckily, it got cleared up because the buyer's mother was an insurance agent. She was able to fix whatever it was. She says she was never asked that information before, whatever it happened to be. And surveys and bank payoffs, people now are going back into the titles, doing even more extensive searches and finding things from the 80s that don't show a payoff.
Oh.
And Yeah, you know what that's gotta be like, trying to find a bank now that has the same name that can
Yeah.
actually offer proof of payment.
Yeah, that's
I'm
true.
actually seeing, Chuck, I'm actually seeing a
Yeah.
lot of those, even on the commercial world. We just had one to where a RG&E mortgage where they lent them the money through a grant program to buy a furnace back in 1979 was
Oh.
never cleared.
Wow.
And thank goodness that RG&E was just, here's a letter saying, he doesn't know us anything. They aren't taking the letter, unfortunately. So we actually have to go back and try to get release from whatever obscure funding company was giving them the money.
Wow.
And we're starting to see a lot more IRS liens on properties coming through that, you know, property sold 3 or 4 times in the last 20 years. And all of a sudden there's an IRS lien from 15, 16 years ago popping up on the abstract, both residential and commercial.
So are they, so to close it, like, let's just say you can't clear that up, are they bonding it or how are they closing it with a lien on it?
We'll find out in about the next 5 to 6 days.
Because I've heard of people putting up a bond, like bonding the lien, if it seems to be a real frivolous lien. So I would start to research some ideas of what you could do to still close with a lien. Because Todd, I know you're really good at the research, because I'm going to tell you that the attorney may not have the answer. You may have an answer to try to figure out how to get this closed, as well as the bank. So I would do some research on some other methods of closing if possible.
Well, we've got through that tax foreclosure group, a little over 300 properties coming to market starting January 6th.
Wow.
And I've been already told that there's already IRS liens popping up from 10 years ago.
Wow. Yeah, I was on a little bit different maybe, and this is something that I found very interesting. If you can close that door, it'd be great. I found this very interesting. I was talking to a homeowner insurance company yesterday, and I know about these reports. They're called clue reports. It's a report that you can, it's like a credit report on the property you're selling. And they were talking about this situation where there was a fire in the property. The selling agent had no idea. The seller was gone. They like left the country, so they couldn't even come after them. And they were trying to sue somebody. They ended up suing the buying company and the buyer's agent for not disclosing that there was a fire. And the buyer's agent was like, I didn't know there was no fire. They actually went to court, and the court said that you were incompetent because these clue reports have been out there. These insurance companies will supply them. You should have gotten a clue report for your buyer. Have any of you heard anything yet about this with homeowners insurance companies and potentially supplying your buyer a clue report? And it's basically a credit. It would have told them that, hey, there was a fire, there was an insurance claim. It's like there was a roof leak and there was an insurance claim. There was this problem, there was an insurance claim. So they basically do a credit report on the house and they can supply it. Go ahead, Todd.
So Chuck, back from 2004,
yeah,
the clue report came out, and if you remember right, from 2004 until about 2008, a lot of the offers that were being written from Century 21 Remax and I think Realty USA were all requiring a clue report because we were running into those issues of a house goes to be insured, and we'll say we did a estimate of insurance of $900 a year, but then come to find out, a bad house is just like a bad driver. The insurance is higher for a house that has more claims.
Right.
So it pushed their DTI and their monthly payment out of whack. So the mortgage failed. So we were doing those up until 2008, and then Hannah, or I guess Nothnagel at the time, made such a stink because they were telling people not to provide them to us. It wasn't their job. When in essence, it's the seller is the only one at that time could get a clue report.
Well, apparently we all can get them now, right? And I think I've heard that. They have no clue.
Chuck, I think they're filed by the person's social security number too, so it actually follows the people around.
Well, I'm going to make some calls with some insurance companies, because I've heard of some brokerages around the country now are making that mandatory in a purchase and sale contract, that a clue report is supplied by their buyer agent. The buyer
Is a clue report is that where they can tell you like the dollar amount that was paid for the claim?
That's
Is that the
Yes.
same thing?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So my
Oh.
stepmom used to sell insurance, and at a very young age, we were all told to just be overinsured because it's better. And if you don't know, I'm the worst driver ever. And you actually have an insurance score just like you have a credit score. So my homeowner's insurance is ridiculously expensive because my car insurance is like, I'm such a loser. I can only get insurance for 6 months at a time in a car.
Remind me never to go for a ride with you.
Yeah, I'll
Not
remind you,
unless you're
Todd,
drunk.
never go for a ride with Kathy.
Nobody rides with me unless they're drunk, and I'm not.
How could you tell?
So I'm going to look into this clue reports, and I think we'll have some conversations around it. Yeah, there's typically, if you own an insurance company, you probably wouldn't want, like Hannah owns an insurance company. A clue report will tie that person to the insurance company that's probably given the clue report. So if a buyer gets a clue report on a property, that insurance company that supplied the clue report will probably get the homeowner's insurance. And probably the problem for Hannah was they own an insurance company and they were probably starting to lose their homeowner's insurance policies because someone else was doing clue reports. So they made a big fuss about clue reports. So in the interest of our buyers and potentially even our sellers, I'll look into it for you guys if you feel as though it's something that we should be looking at. I think there's potential there to offer better service by providing that to your buyer or seller. And maybe they'll say, there might not be a problem at the closing with the homeowner's insurance too, because that's already been done. Any thoughts on that at all, or should we talk about something else?
If it keeps us out of court, that's the best thing. But I think you're going to get a lot of pushback from a lot of these other agents that are throwing a fit over, simple addenda that they don't understand.
Yeah, I do hear a lot about that, but it's okay. What else are y'all seeing out there in regards to in the real estate world?
Hey, Chuck, I got a question.
Go ahead, Lee.
Well, this is more, I think, kind of concerning everybody. Sort of like the importance of promoting just real estate and realtors in general. I know we want to promote ourselves, but to keep the word out about the importance of realtors. And I just happened to see here in Penfield, actually, that Howard Hanna put one of those shrink wraps around a bus. And I just thought, oh, that's kind of neat. I mean, it's not one specific agent. I don't know if Keller Williams would ever consider something like that.
Well, Keller Williams' philosophy has always been a lot different than your standard, the old style, like a Howard Hanna or Hunt or a Century 21 dependent model type. It's always been about the agent, meaning that the agent, we're not trying to push business to Keller Williams, but then I give it out. We're trying to make sure that the agent is in front of the brokerage. It's a different philosophy, whereas, Hannah puts their name out there. Is it really helping the agent? Because people hire agents, they don't hire a real estate company. That's been kind of the KW philosophy for a long time. They've never done any national advertising. They built the largest real estate company in America with never doing a national ad. It's all been homegrown. The brokerages, by design, we work on a cap. So our margins are not like a Hannah margin where, they're making money on every single deal. Once an agent caps, the brokerage stops making money from that agent for the rest of that year. So the margin for the brokerage is different. So the agent will have more money to self-promote themselves as well. Different philosophies. Is it something outside of the realm of possibility? It would be a decision that the agent leadership council, if they wanted to do a billboard or something of that sort, were interested in doing to supply a financial plan and benefit to all the agents. And then from that, we would make a decision because it impacts profit share.
Yeah. Well,
everybody on here gets profit share, but a decision would be made by the agent leadership council. And, if they were all for like a billboard program or, it's similar to like the old traditional advertising techniques, we would look at it.
Yeah,
So
and
Chuck,
my
what if-
point, my point is kind of like seeing the Hannah one. It
Mhm.
was pretty cold and sterile.
Yeah.
And, there's different ways. So Keller Williams could kind of highlight an ad with people. I mean, I'm just throwing
Yeah.
ideas out there.
Sure.
We're people oriented. And so
And what if
Go
what
ahead,
if all
Mary.
the agents helped pay for that ad? So whoever was in the ad, so if you're in the ad and I'm in the ad and Chuck's in the ad, we all contribute towards that billboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mary, anything is possible. And I don't know how familiar you are all with the ALC. That's our Agent Leadership Council. And if you really feel, I think that you put something together, some ideas with some different techniques of advertising. It may be social, spending a lot of money on social media advertising to really put the word out about KW and the agents and what we're doing. Definitely they'll look at it. So
Okay.
I would highly encourage any of you, if you got some ideas like this, Lee, I think it's great. Let's put it out there.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Peter, are you trying to say something, or is it, 'cause I see you lighting up? All right. All right, what else we got, guys? Who else has something to talk about? Some burning question. I'm not going to paint your office if you're thinking that.
I put something in the chat, just curious if you know how many agents either joined or left GRAR from when dues were due.
My BFF just stole a billboard on 490 for 1/3 of a price COVID deal. Less traffic with more work from home. Definitely notice increased business. Interesting. Yeah, I'd love to kind of, I got some friends that run Lamar, and I'd like to take a look at that. But new topic. Do you know how many agents joined or left GRAR? I don't know, but I do know this much. We are up in membership. We're over 3,100 members right now. I expected it to go in reverse, and it's actually higher. And I think what's happening, we're seeing a lot of new agents. We're seeing a lot of people very curious about real estate. People are sitting back and reanalyzing their lives and what they've been doing all their life. And people are taking a real estate course like crazy right now. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a whole bunch more new agents getting in the business. What I am seeing also is retiring from the business. People are retiring. There's an opportunity right there, guys, for you to create some exit plans for brokers and agents that are looking to at an exit strategy to get out of the business. You got an opportunity there you should really take a look at. If you know some agents that are aging out of the business or their businesses, that they spend their summers or winters in Florida or wherever they can go. I guess you really can't go anywhere anymore. So maybe they spend their time in New England. I don't know what state you can go to without being quarantined anymore. California, Washington, Oregon. They may be looking for an exit strategy, and I think there's an opportunity there for you guys as well.
Am I the only person that's totally annoyed with just the lack of common courtesy in this business? And is there a way we can change that? Because every committee I've ever sat on at GRAR in like the last 10 years, I've suggested that we fine people for stupidity, and no one's taking me serious. But I mean, when people are on a schedule for COVID, or it's really hard to get an appointment in a listing and somebody cancels, but they don't even bother canceling it through showing time. So now that's one wasted time block. I mean, I know we can't make everybody work the way we're supposed to, but why doesn't the board come up with something that people can anonymously say this person was stupid and here's why, and they get hit? The board makes money, we get less stupid people. I see it as a win-win.
I don't have the answer to that, how to make people less stupid necessarily, other than us educating everybody we can around ourselves and one person at a time, trying to make them better And it seems a little hairy-fairy, but you know, it takes one person to make another person smarter, who hopefully takes it to a couple more people.
Right, but how come GRAR doesn't have any sort of recourse? Like, I understand that you get a slap on the wrist for like a code of ethics thing, but
Well,
why don't-
actually, what happens with a lot of the code of ethics issues is they never even make it that far. The process to go through a code of ethics violation is daunting, quite frankly. It's not like you file a complaint, they bring you in, you say your case. It's like a court case, and the process of bringing someone up on an ethic is, it's honestly, it's daunting. It's amazing. Matter of fact, it's gotten so daunting that we don't even have an internal. Diane has left GRAR. She's retired, and now we've hired Harder Seacrest as a law firm to oversee the ethics hearings. I mean, it's really, it's very frustrating. It's going to take a lot of self-policing, Kathy. I think it's going to take the agents, you know, working with that agent that is showing that they're not that intelligent with the business. And then if they're not getting anywhere, to call up the broker and just say, listen, this agent is, you know, they've canceled showing times, they haven't responded to me, and we need to do something. If you get nothing there, then you got to call me up, or Anthony up, or Susan up, or Jessica, and we make the call to the broker and take it from there. I think you know, we as a community need to self-police what we're going to do. GRAR staff and what we pay GRAR for, I don't think they're capable, and I think the whole process is so clunky that it's very difficult. Now, I've seen people say they're slap on the wrist. I've seen $1,000 to $5,000 to $10,000 fines for.
We just set one for $6,000 for somebody. So yeah, and stupidity is too ambiguous. You know, you have to, it's, whereas the ethics, you actually have to file something against a specific article in our ethics. So you can't just say, well, you're unethical. You have to actually prove how the person was unethical. And Chuck, you know, it's not just oh, I'm going to call the board up today and file something against this person. It takes months and months just to get it to the process of actually a hearing.
Yeah. But when you do sit down at that hearing, guys, if you bring something that far, you'll see it's very serious. It's not something that's taken lightly. You're sitting there with yourself. Generally, your representative could be an attorney, or myself being there as well. And right next to you is the person that you're bringing up on an ethics complaint, or they're bringing you up with their representatives. You've got 4 to 5 real estate agents, peers of ours, sitting across the way with a chairman. You have 2 attorneys sitting there, and it's a process. It's the real deal. So when that is done, they adjourn. We get together, the agents that are trying it, and set serious fines. Like Mary just said, $6,000 fine. That's a serious fine.
Yeah.
Serious fine. So, you know, arbitration too. We've just recently had an arbitration hearing that an agent on the other end stole one of our buyers maliciously. The buyer closed the house with that listing company. The buyer was extremely frustrated, but felt as though they would never get a house because the other agent said, you're not gonna get this house unless you work with me. We took it through arbitration, and we got the full amount for our agent. They did the right thing. So it will happen. And when people are maliciously stealing your client, and your client feels under duress that they had to work with this person just to get a house, you have a case. As long as you got agency disclosure and the rest of your stuff, all right. You don't have agency disclosure, we'll have a problem. So I want you to know that agency disclosure piece of paper is it's not your buyer contract, but you really should have. But it just at least shows that you do have some kind of relationship with them, and you had a relationship that was a legitimate one. So make sure you do that. Always. Well, we're getting near the end here, guys. Anything else I can help you with? I've got to get on this other call. I can't be late for these things. They get a little funky about it, but I think I became the host. So if I hang up, then you all just disappear. Anything else that we can talk about, or feel free to give me a call anytime. Send me an email. You can text me on my cell phone. I'll put it here in the chat. If you don't have my cell phone, please make sure you have it. I've had the same cell phone number for 30 plus years. I just love it. So I'm gonna keep it. And I can remember that one. And it's something like, I used to remember so many phone numbers. Now it's like, I dropped my phone in the lake about 3 weeks ago. And so I lost every contact I had. Pretty much every contact's gone. So it's amazing how many phone numbers I had no idea. Like, what's Tiffany's number? I don't know. Tiffany. Oh man, gotta find that one out. Well, listen, guys, have a
You better
great.
be speed dial 1 on your phone if you know what's good for
You would like it not to be sometimes, I think.
Mm.
I thank you guys all for being here today. Hopefully we talked about some good stuff, and hang in there, and let's make it a great day. All right.
Thanks, Chuck.
See y'all later. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.